Wonderful. Hey, thank you all for being here. This is a WNBA San Francisco chapter event, and I'm very grateful to them for hosting this event, as well as to Mango Publishing for all of the help and the promotion. And Bree, who's here, set this whole thing up for us. Thank you, Bree. And Brenda, I know you did a lot too to make this happen. So thank you. So we are going to be making love lists today. Oh, first I should say, I'm Sherry Richert Belul, and I am author of Say It Now, which is a book with 33 creative ways to say, I love you to the most important people in your life. And the love list, which you're all going to be participating in today, is my hands down all-time favorite way to say, I love you to someone. And I know that Valentine's Day is coming up, and Brenda has started. I love that you did this, Brenda. You're the one who brought Galentine's Day to my attention a couple years ago. And I love that. And I want us to take a broader view, right, of Valentine's Day, so that it's Hallmark at first created it to be sort of this, like, you know, flowers and romance, which is great. I love all that. And if you want to bring that in, you can. But I also love, like, Brenda's bringing in the Galentine's Day, which I just found out was created by the Parks and Rec character. I forget her name, but that's where it came from originally, as a way to celebrate the women in our life. And so as I'm talking to you and as you're thinking about who you want to make a love list for, we can think really broadly. In fact, I also really, really love to encourage people to think about, is there someone in your life who might be going through a hard time, and, you know, for whom Valentine's Day might be a little rough? Maybe someone who's grieving or recently divorced or has broken up with somebody. Maybe their heart is heavy this time of year. Maybe they're sick or alone, elderly, shut in. I always think that these kinds of national, you know, Hallmark kinds of holidays are great times to turn our attention to people who may be having a hard time, because often it's even harder when you're going through something difficult and it feels like the rest of the world is all balloons and candy. So, you know, no pressure to do that, but if there's someone that drops in your mind, I find that that can be really meaningful. So I'm only just going to tell you a little bit about myself and the, you know, behind the scenes of the love list, because mostly I want us just to be making them. But basically, two things. One is that when I was a young woman, I went through a very dark time, really wanted off this planet. I just was just terribly depressed and full of anxiety. And as life often does, it graced me with this idea, just dropped in, that what I could do is make lists of why I loved people. And I found that while I was making these lists of why I love people, while I was doing that, I didn't feel that same sort of, you know, heavy depression. It seemed to me that when I was immersed in that love, that I wasn't depressed. And so it became a tool for me. It's sort of like a saving tool, like, you know, to do. And that's like one of the secrets to me of this particular gift, is that first and foremost, we feel really good doing it. And I hope that's your experience today. The second thing is that all my life I've gone to funerals and memorials, and I love when people share the stories and the appreciations for the person who's passed away, and they have the photos up, and it's so beautiful. And yet, inevitably, people who are there always sort of comment like, wow, I wish I had said this while that person could hear it. I wish I had said it while they were still alive. And that's actually where the name of my book came from, Say It Now. And I feel very dedicated in my own life to, as much as I possibly can, to say things to people, you know, to let them know why I love them, to let them know the impact they've had on my life. I personally believe that this is really what most people want the most. They want to be seen, they want to be known, they want to be loved, they want to know that they've had an impact, that their life has mattered, and that their friendship or love has mattered. And it's really not those big like awards and accolades, even though those are great, but it's really about just the simple connections we have with people. It really is. I mean, I'm looking at your faces now, and those of you who I've met before and I know, it's like just seeing your face, right? It's just like seeing your feeling your energy, knowing little tiny tidbits of moments that we've shared. That's what I remember. You know, that's what I celebrate. So basically, the love list is a specific list of reasons why we love someone. And there's no right or wrong way to do it. There's no, you know, some people write in phrases, some people write in full sentences. Some people have a lot of things come in right away. For some people, it's like we might start this process and maybe not a lot will come through, but then you'll be in the shower later and suddenly, you know, 10 things will drop in. Let it be whatever it is. But the main thing is that it's almost like, if anyone here has meditated, it's almost like stepping into a meditation where we're just allowing, you know, we're allowing things to come in and we're noticing them. And in this case, we're capturing them. But also trust whoever you choose to make it for. You know, I know sometimes I do these, I call them loveless parties. Sometimes we'll do a loveless party and people really are like, I don't know who to make it for. Just trust. If somebody drops in your mind right now or to, you know, right before we start, that's the right person. Does everybody have paper and a pen? You all have something to, Bree's demonstrating. I love it. Oh, and Rachel's holding up. I do have a printable on my website. You don't need to get it now, but if you want, it just makes it a pretty easy way to do the gift down the road. You just print them out and fill them out and give them to somebody. Thank you, Rachel, for having me.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Hey, Jessica, you've got some paper?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, good. Glad you're here. So, yeah, so with that in mind, let's just jump in, because to me, the joy is really in the making of it. And I'm going to have you all close your eyes. And again, I'm just going to invite you to think about someone you want to offer a little boost of love to. Someone in your life that you want to appreciate, someone that, you know, it could be someone that you're very close to. It could be someone that they're a little bit estranged from. And again, it could be someone that you are in a romantic relationship with. It might be your favorite galentine, you know, a best girlfriend that you really want to love. And it might be someone who's going through a hard time and you want to give them a little bit of a lift. Everybody have someone in mind, you know, who you want to make your list for? Yeah? Okay, awesome. So the first thing I want you to think about, and again, I'm going to have you close your eyes just for this first prompt. And I want you to imagine that person walking into a room. Maybe there was a time that you did meet them in person and you can remember. I just want you to see them. Really like imagine them walking in. And then just write down whatever comes to your mind, the first things that come to your mind about why you love this person. Imagine their face, imagine the way they might say hello. Why do you love this person? And maybe one thing will drop in, or maybe more than one. And if more than one drops in, just jot them down. They might be silly, they might be serious. Everything is welcome. And as people are writing, if there's anybody that would be willing to share just a little, like who you're making your list for, and maybe one or two things that dropped in, it'd be really wonderful. It's fun to hear. Kate, I saw you unmute. Would you be willing to share?
Sure. You know, I've been thinking about my first boyfriend in high school, long time ago. And the reason I thought about him is that I was the one who broke up with him. And we were far apart when that happened. I was here in California. He was still down in Texas. And I know he still feels hurt about that. You know, just in a psychic way, I know it never was resolved. And so today it just came to me. I wanted to say what I really enjoyed, loved about this young man.
Oh, Kate, that's beautiful. I love this. And could you just share one thing if it's not too personal?
Sure. Okay. So his name is John. The first time I saw him, he was big, lumbering kind of guy. He was actually captain of the football team, and his black hair is very stiff. It's stuck up, you know, in the back, kind of like alfalfa, you know, that cowlick. And what I saw in him was a very big boy, so open, innocent, shy.
Oh. Thank you, Kate, for sharing just that snippet of John. One of the things I love about doing these is I find that I fall in love with the people that others are writing, right? It's like just that little snippet of him we can see. And also, Kate, I really want to acknowledge your, like, that is so beautiful just to think of like someone like that you haven't even, I don't know if you talked to or seen, but it's like to go back in time like this to send love. So beautiful. Yay! Would anyone else be willing to share? Rachel.
So I actually came in here thinking I was going to write it for one person, but then when you started talking, I was like, no, I need to write it for somebody else.
Oh.
So I'm writing it for who I call my soul sister, Erin, who yesterday was the anniversary of her son's murder by his father. And she, you know, as soon as you said, you know, the person that could be grieving and needing, and I was just like, yeah, I need to write this for her. You know, today of all your days and everything, I need to write this for her. And she's a person of beautiful faith. So even after what happened, she has this ability to share her light, her authenticity, her struggle, her light, her darkness, and just be authentically who she is. And she really has like joined the fight for people who are suicidal to get help, to reach out for help so they don't do things like this. You know, and so I just have so much tremendous love and respect for her. And so I really wanted to do this for her. So my number one was, I love your wholehearted energy when you enter into a room, because you feel her before she even walks in the door. You just, her energy is just that big and beautiful. And then my second one that came up was, I love the way you are the authentic you in all your light and all your darkness. Because, you know, when she shares, she truly shares all of it. So people don't feel alone. They don't feel like she's above them or not in it too. You know, it's just, she just has such a beautiful love and light.
Oh, Rachel. And I commend you for following that intuition, you know, that she dropped in and that you decided to do this. And I can only imagine already, I know you probably know this, but you listed about 7 or 8 or 9 things that are lovable about her, right? That that just like came flowing out. And oh, it's so beautiful. And again, just like with Kate's John, I just feel like, wow, I feel like I get to love her. So thank you. Anyone else? One more before we move on to our next prompt. Bree.
Oh, so I couldn't pick between them. I could never pick between them. But my two younger sisters, Kim and Jen, I wrote a little love list for them in that they are the funniest people and friends I've known my whole life.
Oh.
And Kim, her thing is that she loves to send me cute and funny little pet videos at random times. So they're happy little surprises. Like one, she sent me like a little video of ducks swimming in a bathtub with flowers on top, and they were like doing like a little race car thing around them. It was the cutest thing, and it made my day. And then Jen, she has the best reactions to any celebrity news. She'll just send something to me and she's like, let's talk about it. Let's have a discussion. I'm like, oh, I can't wait. And for both of them, we used to do this back when I lived in Oregon. They're still back there. We used to go on late night Taco Bell runs in one of our cars, and we would get our food, and then we would just drive around like the Oregon hillside for over an hour. And it was like some of my best memories. So.
Oh, Bree, and you just demonstrated something so important, which I know Kate, for one, really understands as a storyteller, right? Those details, please make sure you include those, right? The ducks with the flowers, the Taco Bell, because it's one thing to say like, oh, she sends me cute videos, which is fun and nice. But when you get that specific, there's something that it's just could only be you and this particular sister, right? I love that.
Thank you.
I love that. Brenda, I wanted to check, did you have your hand up or were you just resting okay, just making sure. All right, let's move on to the next prompt. Same person. I want you to think of a favorite memory. It could be something recent that's happened. It could be from way long ago. But again, like with that specificity in mind, and the way that I usually write these is something like, I love thinking about the time or I love remembering when or I love, that time we blah, 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 blah. And this is a prompt that I hope you'll go back to after we have this call, because you can mine a lot of wonderful things for your love list from memories. And if you have photographs, that's a great way to spark different memories. But for now, whatever, maybe one or two come to you. Brandon, did you have a favorite memory?
A favorite memory, many. I want to maintain my composure here, but I would say that just like days with no plans, like spending time together where there was no plan, but like just being together, like those if that even makes sense, that would be
that actually is so beautiful, because what that says is that your relationship with this person, right? It's so just the relationship is so wonderful, right? That it's like, it doesn't even have to have like those outside, carnivals or, activities.
right.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Did you want to share who you're making it for? Or do you want it to be a secret?
I'm going to stay secret for now.
Okay.
Several people could probably guess, but I'm going to be a secret.
But thank you for sharing that, because
Of
that
course.
also, one of the things I love and I so appreciate when everyone shares is it just sparks ideas, right? About like, oh, I could go in that direction, or I could go in this direction.
Mhm.
Anybody else want to share their Kate? Oh, and then Concha.
Okay. This is for a very dear friend, and we used to see each other very frequently. She lives in San Francisco, and I would take Bart into the city. And without getting into a lot of detail about why I haven't seen her in 2 years, I wrote, I love remembering our Saturday noon lunches at the Ferry Building and sipping on our vodka martinis with those 3 olives. There had to be 3 olives.
Oh, I don't know if you have more to say, but I just wanted to tell you, I love that, right? Like, I don't know if you saw our faces, but it's like, it's just so full of life. The 3 olives, right? And I have the feeling that's going to make her smile, right?
It'll yes, it'll follow the reaction for sure.
Thank you. Was there more you wanted to say?
Yeah, that right now that's it.
Oh, that's so great. Kate, I know you wanted to share a memory.
Right. Well, I remember that I went up to Chicago, outside of Chicago, for college my freshman, sophomore year. John actually followed me and was inspired because I was going there. I went to Notre Dame those same years. So he would come in on the South Bend, Electric Railroad to the city. And I remember this one night where he picked me up with not BART, but the elevated, in Chicago. And he picked me up at my host family. And then we were on the elevated platform high up. And it was really, really cold. John was a big guy. And I was skinny, bare, teenager still. And wearing a thin little black coat that I'd brought from California wasn't nearly enough. He took my coat, opened it up, and enveloped me in that coat next to him in his big half Cherokee, German comforting body, and just held me. And I'll never forget how sheltered, how loved.
Oh, Kate. Wow. I'm going to go ahead and project. You can tell me if this is not true, but I'm going to project that it's like, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Like, when we're immersed in loving someone, doesn't it just flood through your body? Like, I was projecting that you could just feel that in the moment. Oh, right.
It does. It just fills my heart, and like that hug.
Yeah.
Is still there.
That hug. And here's the thing, I know it's a tiny bit of an aside, but this is what I so cherish about being human, is that I don't know John. I never got hugged by John, but I can tell you, I felt that hug, so if the only legacy this man has ever left is that hug, holy tamale, right? Like, how beautiful is that? We don't know. We don't know the impact that we have. And I, maybe for the rest of my life, will think about that, because I've been on the L, and to think about being held like that, so beautiful.
Mm-hmm. And then he would laugh, this sort of soft huff of a laugh.
Did you add that? Did you add that soft huff of a laugh?
I did.
Oh, awesome. I love it. I love it. Jessica, no pressure, but because I can't see you, I just want to check in and see if you wanted to share anything, but you don't have to. Okay, I just want to put the offer out there. let's move on to our next prompt. This is one of my favorites, and I know we've got some writers in the room. So, but you don't have to be a writer. I do this one with almost every Love List workshop because it brings up what I like to do with the Love List. I'm going to just tell you a little bit for a minute, is that they have a texture to them, so that maybe they're not all sweet and they're not all funny and they're not all sexy and they're not, sometimes it's like some are shorter sentences or longer, and to shake up the language. And this next one is one that can give, you could do 2 or 3 of these in your Love List, and it gives it that kind of texture. And what it is to come up with a metaphor for why you love this person. And what I usually tell people as a way to first think about it, like I'm just going to, off the top of my head, my mom, I adore my mom. And my mom and I love ice cream together. We always go to Dairy Queen. She lives in a little town in Ohio where there's a DQ. So my metaphor might be something like, Mom, I love you like a hot fudge sundae, when we go to Dairy Queen by the water, something like that. So the metaphor could just be that, or it could be like, I love you like the smell of the ocean. It can be simple, but something that, maybe it just drops in your mind about them. So that's your next one is a metaphor. And it could be something like, I love that you're like, ... I love that you're like a warm breeze. I love that you're like taking a ride on the L in Chicago. Like that's a good one. Brenda, I don't know why this just came up, but I'm going to say it to you, which it dropped in my mind. If I were making one for you right now, I love that you're like a protea. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but it's that wild flower that is so like sturdy, but beautiful and wildly like otherworldly. That just came up for you. I love you. Like
wow, I love that. I think that might be one of the best compliments I ever received in my entire existence. Thank you.
Well, it just came through, right? And I think that's sometimes what happens, right? I wasn't thinking of why I love Brenda, but I looked at you and that's what just popped in my mind.
I'll take it. Thank you. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. And I think the other thing about that is obviously, I also explained it, which you can do or you cannot do, right? I could have just said, I love that you're like a protea and let Brenda figure out what I meant by that. But I also could say, you're so sturdy and beautiful and otherworldly and exotic and, whatever, right? Like you could explain it.
Yeah.
Does anybody have an example? Rachel.
I have that. I love that you're like a magical mermaid and just inspire awe in all the lives you touch.
Oh, a magical mermaid.
She loves mermaids. So like anytime I go into a store and see mermaids, like she's like in that awe that you feel when you see those beautiful mermaids.
Love that. Love that. That's going to resonate with her for sure. Anybody else? Kate.
Well, I was going to think about a hug, but then when I realized in sort of a kaleidoscope of different memories is that I think of John. John's love is like the sheltering of a great tree, a willow tree that seems to cover, all who stand under it with this curtain of willowing green, life-giving leaves.
Wow. I want to be a fly on the wall when he receives this love list from you and just to see, that's so beautiful.
Well, I think he's a big guy. He's still a big guy. And he's an attorney. He's a tough guy. But I think really he was a very, very sensitive person, and he still is. And I don't think people acknowledge that.
Yeah. So thank you. That is so beautiful. Yeah. And it just brings up something else about the love list that I was just thinking about. Jessica, I'm going to mute you just because I'm hearing some background noise, but please feel free to, oh, I can't. Bree, you're going to have to, thank you. Feel free to unmute if you want to share. What Kate just said also reminded me of something that can come up. First of all, you don't always have to give the person your love list. I always hope that people do, and I encourage people to do that. Sometimes you might be making it just to feel that love for them yourself or to heal a relationship. But the other thing is, if you do choose to give it, there can be some vulnerability around that. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, to me, I've been making these for so many years that I understand now it's a practice of loving. It's a practice of opening up. It's a practice of courage. And so Kate may or may not have any vulnerability around giving this to John, but let's just say you did.
Oh, what are you doing?
There is that practice of being comfortable with that uncomfortableness. And what I would do is go to where Kate went, which is, oh, wow, I can imagine that this is really going to be meaningful to him. I can imagine that maybe other people haven't said this particular thing to him, or maybe he doesn't know that I felt this way. And so I'm going to go to that place of really seeing the gift in it and working through whatever vulnerability I feel about expressing something like this. Anybody else have a metaphor? Because I love hearing the metaphors. Oh, Brie, can I read what you wrote, Brie? I just saw you chatted.
Yeah.
Is that okay? Oh, that's so great. I love you like a song that I haven't heard in so long, but feel so happy when it plays. Oh, you got to tell us, if you don't mind, how did you come up with that?
I was thinking back to a time when me and my sisters went to Portland to go hang out with a friend. And I think it was on the radio, one of our old songs that we used to play all the time back in 2012. It came up on the radio and we were just like, oh my God, we haven't heard this in so long and yet we still love it. And we were just kind of like, not singing, but lip singing to it as we drove, and it was fun. So yeah.
That is so great. Again, it's like, I can't say this enough, but the specificity is what really is going to touch the person receiving it, right? Like, that's so perfect for you and your sisters, right? Like, it's just great.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Metaphor before we move on. All right, let's go on to, and again, so we're just sort of looking at creating kind of a different kinds of texture and tones. And this one is, what is one of this person's strengths? So is there something that they're really good at that you just, you really respect about them and you admire about them? Maybe it's something they're known for. Maybe it's just something you know about. Could be an emotional strength. It could be some sort of skill or talent. What is it that they can do that nobody else can do quite the same? And I, again, just happened to look at Rachel just now, but it's like, if I were making a love list for Rachel, I would just say, Rachel, I love that you practice such intentional opening to love, that you walk and talk, being love and coming from a place of love. That would be, to me, the strength that I see in you all the time. You're welcome. And I'm actually going to give you another one before we hear from people. And this other one is humor. So oftentimes when people are making a love list, they might say something like, you know, I love how funny you are, which is great, but it's much, much, much better if you can think of something like a running joke that you have. You know, for example, like I always think when I say this, that my mom and I have a running joke about spilling the taco tray. Inevitably, whenever she's got that like 1950s Tupperware with all the different little places for things for the tacos. We have spilled that thing, flipped it over at least 4 times. And so just the word taco, you know, so if I'm making a love list, which I've done for my mom many times, I would just say like, taco tray, need I say more, right? And that's like an instant path. I know it's going to crack her up. So it could be something like that. It could be a funny story that you remind them of. Something that's gonna make them laugh. And I see Bree laughing, so I'm hoping that something came to your mind. And so while people are writing, just like we were doing before, if you would want to share either the strength or something funny, it's really fun to hear. Yeah, Concha. You're mute. You're just unmute yourself though, or maybe can you do?
Yeah, I got
There
it.
you are.
Just on the strength, I love your courage through dark times and your ability to walk till you reach the rainbow on the other side.
Wow. That's so beautiful. And I love what you did there too, where it's like, you know, you recognized her courage, but also you've got that little bit of metaphor in there too, right? You did both, which is so beautiful. And again, it feels to me textured that way.
Mhm.
Anybody? Oh yeah, Rachel.
I have one for the fun one.
Oh, good. Good.
I love that we have photo evidence of our time in the 80s experiencing really fun hair choices. Because her and I grew up together, so we have total 80s mullet, short, like wings, all of them, the whole gamut.
And Rachel, what you just pointed me to too is just, you know, at the end, I was going to tell you a little bit about presenting the love list, but I'm going to say it now because it's perfect for this. You have photos. So one of the most wonderful things we can do to present our love list is if we're able to put a couple photos, you know, that can be, and in this case, you know, one of those hairdo photos would be just beautiful with this love list, right? So I love
They're
that.
the ones I am not ever allowed to socially post, so that works.
Oh, that's so great. That's so great. Anyone else want to share humor or a strength? Kate.
Yeah, I can share humor. If John were here, which he is sort of, you know, in the psychic realm, all I would have to say is Palmer House lobby in downtown Chicago. Because when it was so cold and we'd meet each other in Grant Park on a Sunday afternoon, the only place we could go to get warm was the Palmer House. And, you know, it's such an Art Deco, you know, glamorous, high-end hotel. And we would just walk in and sit down and get warm. And, you know, we'd spend the most interesting long conversations and share our lives in the Palmer House lobby.
And see, that's exactly it, right? I love that shorthand we have with people, right? That I don't know Palmer House lobby, you know, but he'll hear it and go right back to that world. Yeah, Bree.
So a little fun fact about myself, I can't really drive. I can drive, but not that well. It's kind of like a running joke in my family. They're like, "Oh, don't let Bree drive. We're gonna get into an accident." And whenever I go out with my sisters, they're just like, "Okay, which one of us can drive?" I'm like, "Wait, can I drive?" And they're like, "No." Uh, but a couple of times there have been times where my sisters suddenly do not get my vibes or my driving energy. And I won't say who, but one of them almost drove us into like the middle merging, not middle merging, but the middle thing with the grass and stuff.
Yeah.
And we did like a last minute like pull over to the right lane because she thought we were turning, but no, it was just like that medium area. And she's like, "This is what happens when you don't drive. I end up in accidents."
Oh,
And she's like, "Maybe this time you should have drove." And I was like, "Okay." So
Bree, how did you word that? Or are you still trying to figure it out? Because that is so
I'm
fun.
trying to figure it out right
Yeah,
now.
that's okay. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just see there's all sorts of ways you could write that, right? So it's
Yeah.
super funny.
The one time Bree should have drove us
Yes.
home. So that was it.
Exactly. Exactly. Love that. Anyone else want to share strength or humor? All right, let's keep on going then. I think what I'm going to do in the interest of time, I'm going to just say some different prompts to you. And if you want, jot them down so that you have them for later. And then you can just choose what you want to respond to so that, you can hear some different kinds of prompts, okay? So one possibility is, it's I'm just going to use John's name, for example, like a Johnism. So something that John always said, or a little quirky something, how we all kind of have a little bit of something that is just an ism. So that's one of them. Another one is, a way that this person has supported you in some ways. Hi, Lise. I know you've done these before, so just jump right in. We're just in the middle of them. So some gesture or a gift, or they gave you words of wisdom when you needed it. Any of those could be several different loveless items. It could be something this person is excited about or passionate about. Like Brenda happened to mention the other day, that she loves like figure skating, right? And if I were going to do that, I can't think of the words, like a triple Lutz or something. Like, Brenda, I love your passion for the triple Lutz, or something like that. So something they're passionate or excited about. It could be a physical attribute. So, I love your crazy curly hair that, always is like flying all over in the wind, or, whatever it is, a physical attribute that you love. And it could be something they don't do. And I always think this is another one that's really a way to bring in humor, So like on, if I were, which I have done for my boyfriend, I love that you don't snore. Simple, cute. It just adds a little bit of something, right? I love that, for my girlfriend Trish, I've said things like, I love that you never turned down that second margarita, just a private joke between us, but, something they don't do. So that gives you several different prompts to work on, and then people can share whichever one you want, but it also gives you something for later to return to. Elise, are you going to just hop in and just make a little one? Yeah, because a love list can be one item. So I would love to hear anything that may have dropped in with all of those different prompts, whatever sort of floated into your head. Yeah, how about Rachel and then Kate? Rachel.
So one of the ones that came to me was, I love that I can talk to you about absolutely anything without feeling judged in any way. Which for
Wow.
me, that in a friendship, that's, yeah.
Wow.
You can be the
Wow.
exact person you are in the moment you're there and not feel, yeah, it's awesome.
Her name is Erin.
Mhm.
Yeah, I love Erin. I mean, everything, just like what a beautiful, everything you've said. It's just, what a beautiful soul. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Kate.
Yeah, to kind of tag on to what Rachel just said, is that John would listen to everything, on our weekend visits. And if I were really upset, if I'm really having trouble with something, he would just calm me down. And this is something I remember he would say, think about your life like it's something you're reading in a book.
Oh.
And don't worry, just read along.
He would say that?
He would. Well, he claimed to be a wit, but he really wanted me just to distance myself, not to get too crazy. I was only 18 and, away from home. So he would just say, think about it like you're reading it in a book and it's interesting and you'll enjoy you'll enjoy it.
I love that. And I love that you became a storyteller, it's so perfect. But the other thing,
it's perfect, isn't it?
It is, right?
Yeah, it was. So he knew me, and I think we understood the importance of literature.
Yes.
He was an English major at Notre Dame. I would love reading, and so he knew how to connect deep inside with what would make sense to me.
And Kate, one other thing that just dropped in when you said that is that one of the things that I love to do sometimes is stack our love list items. And you just did that. Like, so it could be, I love how much you love literature. I love that we shared the passion for maybe there's a book or whatever. And then, I love your guidance about, think of your life as a book, right? It kind of stacks them. Yeah. And that's another, it's another beautiful way to add some texture, is that they're all sort of connected a little.
Right.
Yeah.
Also I noticed Sherry, as I'm sharing things that really touch me deeply and, is sort of making me, tremble inside a little bit, is that they become more true in the sharing with your listening to them. And I understand that, it's hard not to, feel overwhelmed with emotion, but I understand how much love, that kind of, young love,
yes,
really gave.
Oh, Kate. Yes, 1,000 times over. Like everything you're saying, first of all, and this is a good time to say thank you to all of you, right? Because this is like my favorite thing to do in the world, right? I just hearing these stories and their love, and they become more real for you, but they become more real for me. I now live in a world with Erin and John and, the other Bree's sister, like we live in this world now with these wonderful people. They're part of our circle. And it does make it all more true in every sense of the word. It deepens that's why I say they deepen relationships, right? Because it's like we're focusing on it and it's becoming more what we're creating with that person. And the last thing, Kate, that I just feel like is so important to say, because for those of you, I know Erin came in late and I see Lynn just joined us, but it's like sending love like this to someone from so many years ago. Hi, Lynn.
Sorry, I'm late. I got the time wrong.
Oh, I know. I'm sorry too, but we will have a replay.
Okay.
And I'm glad you're here for the last few minutes. So I was just going to say, so Kate is making a love list for someone from way long ago, right? From when you were 18, you know, a love back then. And one of the things that also is such a great example of is it's never too late to tell someone, right? Like it's never too late to say the things that you're saying. And even if you said them back then, years and years and years later to say them again and to say them in the way that you would write them now, extraordinary gift, extraordinary. So we should never feel like, gosh, I haven't talked to my best friend Betty for 30 years. You know, I wish I could tell her she meant to be. Yeah, you can find her, you know, send her a love list. So thank you. Are you guys okay staying just a few minutes late? Does anybody need to like hop off, especially you, Bree, because you do? Okay, Concha, do you want to share anything before you have to go? I just didn't want to.
Oh yeah. So I wrote down, I love that you guys never make me feel alone, whether we're on an adventure together, having the best lazy day, or just a text away.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do you have to hop off at 1?
No, I can stay on for a little bit.
Can you stay on 5 minutes extra?
Yeah.
Okay. And then Concha, because you have to go, I'd love to hear if you want to share anything else. No pressure if you don't. But you're muted. We can't hear you.
I love that you love your happy hour every day.
Oh, and why does that make you laugh?
Because it's always her, whenever we talk, it's well, and of course we had a happy hour. And of course we had our happy hour. It's like, you know, she could be in a book group. She could be, you know, talking with her daughters, and, you know, but of course we had happy hour. So
I love that. And again, Concha, that's a perfect one to stack a little bit if you want, you know. I love that you have to have the happy hour. Of course we have to have the happy hour. Book club, yeah, but can we have a happy hour? You know, like it's so good.
It is. It's always fun. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sherry. It was wonderful. It was terrific.
Thank you.
Hi, Elise.
I hope you'll send it to your friend.
Pardon me?
I said, I hope you'll send it to your friend.
Oh yes. And I
Okay.
have more more to construct.
And let me know. Okay, great.
Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.
One more share, and then I'll just tell you a few ways to present it because I know we're running late, but I'm having so much fun with you guys. Anybody else want to just share one last thing?
Well, I would just like to say happy Valentine's Day to everyone here. You know, just each, you know, this has been emotional. I'm sure, Sherry, you know, this is emotional exercise, but I really, truly appreciate everyone here who's with us and all you've given to me personally and that you give to one another and all of those in your life, in your work.
Oh, Kate, that was like a beautiful verbal Valentine for all of us. I love that. Love that. Rachel, did you have anything else you wanted to share before I wrap up? I thought you had your.
I did, and I just changed it because I have to say something to Kate, because yours, one thing I absolutely love about you is your storytelling. I mean, every time I listen to you, I like melt like a little kid. It is just such a beautiful thing to hear you tell a story. And it can be anything. You could tell me about somebody crossing the street and somehow make it magical. It's just, I just love that. I love that the second I saw you in this room, it just lit up my world knowing I was going to hear some of your stories.
Oh, thank you so, so much. I really, really appreciate that. And, you know, it's a gift and all I can do is just keep on. You know? Thank you.
And Rachel, I didn't plant you to say that, but what that was perfect, right? Like, so I hope everyone just recognized, like, that was a verbal love list item, right? It was a verbal say it now. There you were in the moment, recognizing something you love and saying it. And that's like a perfectly great way to say, to give someone a love list is verbally. And that was the last thing I just wanted to wrap up before we have to go, is to give you some ideas. Like, you've written these beautiful lists, and of course you could just scribble them on a piece of paper and give them to someone, and it would be an incredible gift. I'm sure you can all feel that. But you could also, like I had said to Rachel earlier, you could combine it with some photos and create something, if you're able to do that on your computer. Or sometimes I will put them on slips of paper, and I put them in a jar. I call it a joy jar. I like to put little fairy lights in there or something else fun to make it beautiful. And they can pull them one by one to read them. If it's someone who lives far away, and especially if there's someone that lives alone and maybe they're lonely, you could send a postcard one a week with a love list item, so that they're getting something in the mail and they're getting this kind of ongoing love. On a holiday, or it doesn't even have to be a holiday, but a bouquet of flowers, and you attach with a ribbon love list item to each stem of the flower. Or if it's for a teenager, sometimes I might do like a $5 bill and put a love list item on each $5 bill, or a chocolate bar. If it's sometimes I've taken Valentine's Day candy boxes and taken out some of the chocolates and put in little love list items in that little, whatever that indentation is for the chocolate. So there's actually whatever you can think of, you can make it into a love list. And I love for people to be thinking in that way. So even if you're giving any old gift, if you layer it with a love list, right, it just adds so much meaning. And so any questions before we go? I just have been such so much fun with you guys.
I can't wait to listen to the recording. And yeah, I just love that last one with the different, I'd say, translations to the different, the teenager love, the love languages, yes. Money, money, money. And, that's when as a parent, you turn into an ATM machine, and it's almost like it turns that on its head. You're an ATM machine, but it's a loving ATM machine. So thank you, Sherry. I can't wait to listen.
Elise, that's great. I love what you said there. That's so true. And what you said was really important, like to use their love language, but then add in the love list is perfect. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you all for being here. Just to say again that Say It Now, there's 32 other gift ideas besides the love list that are creative and fun. And I just encourage you all to just take away the good feelings that we all got to share today, and just remember how good it feels to love people, right? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sherry. And I think also how good it is to receive the love that others have given.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Kate.
Thank you. Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone at Mango. Thank you, everyone.
Love.
Thank you, Women's National Book Association.
Yes, Women's National Book Association and Mango.
WNBA.
And all of you. Thank you.
Bye, Brianna. Bye, Sherry. Bye, Rachel. Bye, Lynn. Bye, T. Bye.